So the MyPillow guy is being sued for $1.3 billion. You know we got to check it out. So Mike Lindell is being sued for $1.3 billion, and the main claim of the lawsuit is defamation per se. Now, he joins a list that includes Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell, who Dominion Voting Systems are suing because of their claims that Dominion committed election fraud. Now, to prove defamation, Dominion, well, to be clear, to prove defamation per se, Dominion's going to have to prove a couple of things. First, that Mike Lindell made a false statement. They're going to have to prove that that false statement was about or concerning Dominion Voting Systems, and that that statement was published to a third party. Now, since we're talking about defamation per se, that statement must be, quote, so damaging that they are defamatory on its face. An example of that would be accusing someone of committing a crime. That would be considered defamation per se. So Dominion Voting Systems says that they can prove that Mike Lindell made false statements, that these statements were about Dominion Voting Systems. The statements that Mike made were published to third parties on various news outlets. And Mike Lindell has claimed that Dominion Voting Systems has committed mass election fraud in the 2020 election. And let's all understand, election fraud is a crime at both the federal and state level. Now, to show that they can prove their burden, they list many examples of Mike Lindell claiming that Dominion Voting Systems committed widespread election fraud. The truth of all the election fraud is going to come out. 1.2 Biden, 0.80 Trump. Biggest election crime ever. Everyone will then know. At Real Donald Trump won by 6 million votes. Next quote, on December 12th, on election night 11:15, all the algorithms that were set across the country in the machines, where Biden got like 1.2 votes for every vote of our great president, got 0.66. 80 million votes that came in for our great president broke the algorithm in the machines. January 6th. I've seen it. It's there. So much fraud in every state going to be turned over. It's the biggest election corruption in the history. The Georgia Senate election gave us a lot of evidence last night. They did the exact same thing with the machines. These Dominion machines, the most corrupt thing in human history, these machines do 1.24 to Biden and 0.76 Donald Trump. Again, he seems like he's changing those percentages again. Before it was 1.2, now it's 1.24. It seems like it's being refined. Fox News, Tucker Carlson.
Exactly right, Tucker. What I'd say to him with this particular thing that's going on now, I've been all in trying to find the machine fraud, and we found it. We have all the evidence. So what all these outlets that have been calling me from the Washington Post, New York Times, every outlet in the country, they go, Mike Lindell, there's no evidence and he's making fraudulent statements. No, I have the evidence. I dare people to put it on. I dare Dominion to sue me because then it would get out faster. So this is, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to say, they just say, oh, you're wrong.
So as you can see within the complaint, Dominion has a lot of examples of Mike saying that Dominion essentially committed widespread election fraud. Now, Dominion Voting Systems has to prove that Mike acted with actual malice, or simply that he knew these statements were false and said them anyway. And the reason for that is because this is a matter of both public concern, the presidential election. So that type of speech is even more protected than ordinary speech. And also, you can make an argument that Dominion is a public figure. And when you're talking about a public figure, to defame a public figure, you need to make those statements with actual malice. So how would Dominion prove that Mike Lindell actually knew what he was saying was false or just recklessly disregarded the truth? Dominion sent him a cease and desist letter on December 23rd, 2020, laying out why the statements were false and demanding that he stop saying them.
Then the next one was Mike Lindell, Dominion dropped the letter that they wrote me 3 weeks ago because I was bad-mouthing the machines during the, telling them about the fraud that we had found. They're afraid of this coming out.
Yeah.
So they dropped this thing. We're going to sue Mike Lindell. Great,
So at this time, Dominion sent them a letter, put him on notice that these statements are false, giving him evidence to say why these statements are false, and then waited to see if Mike would repeat the statements again, then achieving actual malice and being able to haul him into a courtroom. The same thing they did with Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani. And what did Mike do? He said the statements again. So now Dominion has sued him for $1.3 billion. Now, there are some other claims, but the main claim here is defamation per se. Well, let me know what you think. Do you think Dominion has the goods? We'll wait till Mike Lindell responds to see if there's anything here. Let me know in the comment section what you think. My name is Nate, lawyer YouTuber, and I'm out.
The Dominion people had threatened Newsmax. Well, they can't. Nobody could go on there and talk about this evidence that I have or talk about the machines. So they had sent a thing to my gal, my assistant, and said, whatever Mike does, don't talk about what the machines. Well, then I went on there, and the first question was, why did Jack Dorsey cancel your Twitter account? Well, everything that's been attacking in my whole life right now is because I've got this documentary coming out with all the evidence.